Hello everybody and welcome back to Weeknight Hero. As always, I'm your GM, Evan. In this new video, we're going to play through a basic combat encounter, going over some of the core rules and playing it out and seeing just how the rhythm and flow of combat works. So, completely made up scenario. These are made up characters. None of this matters. So let's say I have 3 heroes. The first one is the Rooster hero, Bantam. The second is the crime-fighting hero, Nighthawks. And the final one is the Gecko hero, Gecko. So they are looking for an acquaintance that they have, Fat Tom, who stopped communicating with them on an important mission. They find him mind-controlled by a villain who forces them to fight their friend. Now that we've done that, we move to the first actual part of combat, which is going to be rolling for initiative. So naturally, we're going to have everybody roll, and we're going to set up the turn order within a round. So we're going to have each of the combatants roll a d20 with a bonus provided by their agility score, plus any enhanced initiative ranks. So Bantam rolls a 10. Fat Tom rolls a 1. All right, so he's going to go last no matter what. Nighthawks rolls a 16. And Gecko rolls a 15. So if we add all of their bonuses together, that means that Nighthawks is at the front of the pack with 26. Gecko is immediately next with 25. And Bantam is immediately following him with 24. And Fat Tom, add it all up, it's a 6, but he's last. So he will be the 4th in the round. So we're going to play out each round in this exact order, barring any situations where we would delay our attacks or we were to ready an action that takes place later in the round. But that's for the advanced combat demonstration. Fat Tom's power allows him to grow in size in exchange for the calories in his body. To boost that, he eats quite a bit of food, and he uses it all up when he's fighting. So he's going to strike first and strike quickly. So he's going to take the action of using his bolos, right, to try to catch Fat Tom and knock him off guard, make it easier for everyone else to attack. So we're going to first roll to make an attack check. Nighthawks rolls a 9. And as a crime fighter archetype character, he has very high attack bonuses and very high active saves. So applying a range attack bonus of 10, he is going to land the blow. We're going to compare it against Fat Tom's dodge difficulty check, which is 14. 19 beats 14, obviously, and that means that the attack succeeds. Now, conversely, Fat Tom's going to roll to see how much of an effect this attack has on him. So Fat Tom rolls a 14. And combined with his dodge save, he's going to succeed against the check. So how does that play out? Well, I imagine it like this. And if you're a game master, you can describe it as such or come up with your own unique thing to do. So I picture Nighthawks throwing the bolo at Fat Tom, only for Fat Tom to catch it and throw it away. So let's imagine that they have like a breakneck speed attack, and in the process, he immediately reacts and knocks it away. So Nighthawks accomplished nothing this turn, but that's normal. So Gecko is next. Now his power is a unique one, and I made sure to include him in this video just to help us understand something. So he's able to separate parts of his body and manipulate those appendages separately from him, which, the way I'm creating it, makes it a summon power. So this summon power has the horde and multiple minions modifiers added to it, which allows him to summon 4 split-off appendages as a standard action. So in this situation, I'm saying that they're made from his arm. So his arm's going to pop off in several places, and the appendages are going to float around him. These appendages get to act on their own as separate characters, thanks to also the active modifier that he has. To demonstrate the appropriateness or inappropriateness of using the summon power and why you as a game master should decide if it's right for your campaign. Because now we have effectively doubled the number of participants in this round. We only had 4 characters, and now we have 8. And with it, Gecko is able to take 5 actions with a controlled modifier to the power. I know that this power is exceedingly common, and people love to use it. But this is the precise method with which it can become a difficult power to work with. Because how do you beat someone who's allowed to take 5 actions? I know there's a problem that's solved in the 4th edition kind of rules for combat. But for right now, we're going to let him take all of his turns in the next round. So now that he's using his standard action, he is going to keep his distance until he has the time to attack. Next is Bantam. So now Bantam is a martial artist archetype. And while she has a unique power, it will not be used in this encounter. Again, this is the basic combat video. Instead, she's going to use and makes the attack action, and she's going to kick him with her superpowered chicken legs. So rolling a 14, she is very similar to Nighthawks and Gecko, where everyone is having a bolstered attack bonus because all of their attacks have very low damage. So with this 14, she's going to land her hit, and then Fat Tom is going to get his chance to react to it with his save. So Fat Tom rolls a 3, and with his base toughness save of +4 in this form, against the difficulty check of 19, 3 + 4 is 7, and then 19 minus 7 is 12. So he is left staggered already. So what does this mean? Well, every attack has a degree of failure that you might have, which increases the power of the damage that he takes or increases the intensity of the effects that you feel from an opponent's attack. So you have 1 through 5, which is technically 1 degree of failure, but no one ever says that. 6 to 10 is 2 degrees of failure. And then 11 to 15 is 3 degrees of failure, and so on and so forth. But each time, you incur another more debilitating status effect with it. In this one, you are staggered. So not only are you injured, which is common against all of your failed attacks, you just get hurt. And he's not just dazed, which makes it so that you can only have a standard or move action. He is also slowed in the attack and has the added caveat of if he's been staggered once and gets staggered a second time, he immediately suffers the next highest degree of an effect, which is incapacitation or losing, basically. So we're trying to aim to have somebody get incapacitated in this encounter, which means he's already partway there. So if he's able to be staggered again, it's a loss for Fat Tom. So now that Fat Tom is able to take his turn, he activates his power. So he expends all of his calories and grows 30 feet tall and enters into his giant form. As a giant, he has very different stats, mainly much higher toughness saves. His attacks also become area attacks. Really, it's to compensate for the penalty to your attack bonus that comes with being much larger, meaning that we'll get to talk about area attacks in the next turn. Because he is staggered now, he is only able to take a move or standard action in his turn. So we used his standard action to grow in size, meaning he has nothing left to do. And at the end of his turn, he has the opportunity to roll against the staggered condition that he received previously and see if he can remove the very debilitating penalty that comes with it. He rolls, and thanks to his heightened toughness and fortitude save, he is able to overcome the staggered condition, which is just based on the difficulty check of whatever dealt that damage. So since it was a 19, he succeeds against it. He is able to recover from it. Now, he no longer suffers the condition in battle, but as we're tracking the progress of combat, he has still suffered the injury effect, and if he were to be staggered again, he would be incapacitated. So that doesn't leave. Now we move on to round 2. So let's assume that the characters can see, obviously, that Fat Tom is way more durable they need to change their pattern of attack because as a crime fighter, martial artist, and animal man archetype, they have very low damage bonuses in return for high attack bonuses, and they mostly rely on advantages rather than powers to fight people off. So with a character like that, I think it's best for them to make power attacks against the character. So what's a power attack? So in every character, no matter what their power or skill is, if you have to roll to make your attack, they have the chance to decide how to attack. In this situation, they're choosing to put all their power behind their attacks and reduce their attack bonus. So they're going to be less accurate, but now they're focused entirely on dealing more damage. So they will suffer a -2 penalty to their attack bonus, but add a +2 to their damage bonus. With this, they're able to be a little bit more competitive. You're never hindered by the bonuses that you choose when you made your character, which may not always be useful in every situation. So we're going to start with Nighthawks, and he's going to land his power attack. He's going to approach Fat Tom with a move action and roll for a close combat attack. Now that Fat Tom is much, much larger, his active defenses have all but disappeared. After all, how are you realistically going to miss at close range against a person who's gigantic? So now, in truth, he no longer really needs to roll, but with having a active defense difficulty check of 10, he's able to rather easily succeed in the power attack. In this situation, he attacks him with his batons, and Fat Tom rolls against the damage that he's going to suffer. So with it, he rolls a 6, which he can combine with his now +14 toughness save. And then he must also apply the penalty that he suffers from his injury. With it, he rolls an 18, which is not enough to succeed, meaning that he's injured. Now, how does this make sense? Well, obviously, if your character was reasonable, he's going to understand that his baton is not going to do nearly enough damage against the character who's 30 feet tall now. So let's pretend that his power attack is him using his grappling hook to pendulum swing and land on Fat Tom and strike his baton so that it hits him in the ear, let's say. So that's the only way that it makes sense to me that Fat Tom could be hurt in such a way. So Gecko's specialty is using the teamwork advantage with his appendages. And with the teamwork advantage, he's able to coordinate these appendages to be more effective in combat than your regular person. So rather than do a power attack, he's instead going to use a team attack. So thanks to the teamwork action, he's able to take one team attack made up of his shoulder and his bicep, which he's going to use to deal more damage. So on that first attack, it injures him. And on that second attack, unfortunately, it deals no damage. Now, Gecko is able to take his turn again. Like I'd said, now we have 5 characters participating in the scene instead of just 1. So now Gecko lands his power attack. Again, with a DC check of 10, having a high attack bonus means that in almost every situation he's able to land the blow. However, Fat Tom succeeds against the save, meaning that he dealt no damage this turn. Now Bantam goes next. So without needing to aim her attack, she's able to land her power attack. Meaning that Fat Tom is forced to roll to determine how much damage was done. And in this situation, it ends up being 2 degrees of failure, meaning that his character is dazed. Now, Fat Tom finally has the opportunity to actually attack back, which in some ways makes sense because they're smaller and lighter and faster characters. So when Fat Tom attacks, it is now an area attack. And he aims it in this area right here where Gecko and all of his appendages are. So Fat Tom gets his opportunity attack, and his attack is an area attack. He's going to take his huge fist and slam the ground, and the shockwave goes out and damages everybody in the area. So what Gecko, instead of making an attack check for Fat Tom, he forces everyone else to make checks around him. And so Gecko is going to make a dodge save, and all of his appendages are going to make a dodge save. And if they succeed in that, that means that they got out of the way in time, and so they're able to suffer much less damage. Also, Gecko and his appendages have evasion too. It means that if you're able to get out of the way of the attack, you're able to avoid taking damage entirely, which is exactly what they do. Like I had said, with these high active defenses, they have a higher dodge bonus, which allows them to just get out of the way of the attack, and so they were able to escape before he landed his blow, meaning nothing happened. So now for round 3, we'll go through it quickly. Let's imagine that Nighthawks uses their power attack again. Unfortunately, he rolls a 1, meaning that his attack is always going to miss. How do you miss somebody who's 30 feet tall in front of you? Nobody knows. Gecko tries his team attacks again, but despite landing these blows, each time Fat Tom is able to roll and resist the damage entirely, meaning they've really accomplished nothing, which again makes sense in context. How much damage can one person's fist really do against somebody who is now 30 feet tall and huge? Now, Gecko does manage to land his power attack. Fat Tom has already received 5 injuries, which means it has been now a -5 penalty to his toughness save. And with it, he starts to be worn down, meaning that when Fat Tom rolls again, it's not enough to resist being injured once again. And once again, he is left dazed. And Bantam now gets to land her attack, which is, again, another power attack. And with it, she's able to injure him once again, which also is a perfect example of what I discussed in our combat videos. It really feels like Fat Tom is getting ganged up on, and he's near constantly taking damage from these injuries because they're just going to do power attacks and do whatever they want. Once again, this is the basic combat video and is exemplifying the need for more advanced tactics in a game, because now it's becoming a beat 'em up, and the team with 7 characters on it is going to beat the character that is standing alone. So Fat Tom gets to take his action again, and so he must decide between a move or a standard action, so he's going to try to attack everyone again. So in this attack, unfortunately, no one is damaged. So let's imagine that he telegraphs his attack, and everyone gets out of the way because Nighthawks is able to roll against the dodge save of his attack. Gecko and his appendages are able to roll away from all of the attacks. And Bantam, with her martial artist type character, is easily able to just move out of the way of the attack since they're able to see it coming. So again, they deal no damage. So again, everyone is able to avoid the damage, and no one is dealt damage during this turn. What a serendipitous thing to happen in an explanation video. Imagine that. So let's say round 4 happens, and the players realize that they are definitely wearing Fat Tom down. He's getting injured. He's getting dazed. He's not able to deal damage against people. So Nighthawks thinks he should team up with Gecko in order to deal more damage with the team attack. So he's going to spend his turn to set up the team attack, meaning he doesn't do anything this turn. So Gecko's appendages go next, and they deal damage with their team attacks. So let's imagine that Fat Tom is injured in that first attack, and in the next one, he is injured and dazed again. He is just racking up the injuries. Unfortunately, Gecko is able to land his team attack, but he doesn't deal enough damage. Womp womp, we just wasted 2 characters' turns. So let's have Bantam go for her power attack again. Whoops, unfortunately, Fat Tom rolls a 20, meaning that he doesn't take any damage from the attack. Why the sudden turnaround where they're not able to hit anything this round? You know, that's one of the enduring mysteries of tabletop role-playing games. They use the D20 system. It just works out like that sometimes. But it can be part of the fun if you lean into it. So this time, let's say that Fat Tom has rallied with his sudden windfall of not really being damaged by some serious attacks, and he goes to land his area attack. In this situation, Bantam and Nighthawks are able to escape again, but Gecko doesn't roll high enough in his dodge save, meaning the evasion 2 advantage doesn't work out, and he is forced to take damage from the attack. because he has a very low toughness save in exchange for high active defenses, it means that he's takes the brunt of the blow. So, and so do his appendages, actually. So we're going to roll for that. And let's say that Gecko is staggered by the attack. It's strong enough that if he were able to get his hands on them, he is able to deal serious damage, and it would be enough to take people out for the count. So Gecko is left staggered, and 2 of his appendages take damage, and they are destroyed. And on round 5, we have to rally and reorganize. So Gecko, now being staggered and with 2 of his appendages being destroyed, is off balance and may not be useful in this round. So let's have Bantam and Nighthawks really focus on, guess what, their power attacks in order to deal damage. So finally, Nighthawks is going to land his power attack, and Fat Tom is going to roll a 1. With it, and with the combined penalties that he's incurred over the entire battle, he's now failed the save with 3 degrees of failure. He is staggered again, which means he's also incapacitated. And with that, he goes down. So let's imagine Nighthawks lands a blow to the back of Fat Tom's head and sends him falling down and gets knocked out. With him incapacitated, he's no longer able to be controlled by the villain, meaning that the combat is over and they're able to get their friend back. The screen cuts to black as we turn away from the encounter and we continue the adventure from here. But that does wrap up the combat encounter. Really, I just wanted to show some of the most basic forms of attacks and kind of the mindset that goes into running a combat encounter so that aspiring game masters and players can understand the rhythm and flow of it. Thank you so much for watching. The plan is to do a video in 4th edition as well to demonstrate all of the changes that have happened with combat since then. And following this one, there's going to be an advanced combat tutorial using the same characters again, but going just a little more in depth into the flow of combat and some of the more advanced actions and maneuvers that your new characters and your new players probably shouldn't use just because they're complicated. Wait until they get a little more advanced with it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video coming soon.